Hey, what is up guys? Jackson here from the Toasty Bros, and today I'm going to be building a free, that's right, free gaming PC. Hope you guys enjoy. So I know the first thing you guys are wondering is how the heck can you have a free gaming PC? This sounds like a scam, this sounds like clickbait, whatever. Well, I'm going to tell you guys how. So almost every PC you see here is something that you would have found in school back in the day, like as in outdated at this point, they don't use them anymore. Where do they all go when they're done with them? Because the school is all government funded, so they just all buy new PCs after that. You gotta think the old PCs have to go somewhere. Another thing is a lot of you YouTubers work, of course, and a lot of you have parents that work. This is a really good way to get PCs, is just think, if you just ask your parents, you know, hey, are you guys getting any PC upgrades anytime soon? Just ask them if they're able to, you know, talk to a supervisor or a boss, you know, and say, hey, if you guys are just getting rid of these PCs, not making profits on them or anything, do you think my son could have one or daughter could have one? And not to forget places like Best Buy and anywhere that might have a Geek Squad in it or anything like that, like tech repair stores, they have dumpsters out back, and a lot of times they get rid of stuff like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what all we have to work here with, and we're gonna kind of go through and see what the best PC we can build with these used parts that I found. So this is just an older HP, but the thing is, when this came out, this was actually a very good PC. This one, if I remember correctly, either has an i5 or an i7 in it. Now it is a first gen, so it's just the 3-digit series, but those are actually still really good processors, and if you throw a graphics card with them, you can actually still get some pretty good performance. Now this one here was actually quite the find. So this one's actually a little bit more confusing to me. I think it was kind of like a home theater type setup because they have a lot of weird audio ports on it and a lot of weird dials and knobs, and obviously we have a DVD player here and everything, but this one's a little bit older. This one I've already checked, it's DDR1, and this one is socket, I want to say LGA 775, so it's a little bit older, but there is some cool parts in it. Like we have a Corsair fully modular 620 watt power supply. Now of course I don't know if any of these parts work because I've not really tested these PCs, but there's a lot of cool stuff in this one, and obviously the case itself is, you know, kind of interesting. It's an old Silverstone, kind of like mini ITX type case. Now this one here I'm definitely excited about. This actually might be the case I end up using because this case actually, I think it looks a little bit cooler than the other ones, a little bit more custom, but this is actually a old Dell Studio XPS. So if you guys know anything about these PCs, these were like the kind of top-notch Dell ones, and they could get really expensive. This one right here, I actually looked it up and it retailed for almost $2,000 way back in like 2010. So this does have a first gen i7 in it as well, and then it also has 8 gigs of DDR3 RAM, and I think it even has an old ATI graphics card in it. And of course I have no clue if any of that stuff works, but that'd be really awesome if we can get some parts from it, or like I said, even use this as the base of the PC and take some parts from the other PCs for it. Alright guys, so the first PC I'm going to be testing is this really awkward but kind of cool mini ITX PC. So I'm just going to take the 2 screws off the back here so we can go ahead and get the PC opened up. I usually like to have the PC open before I try to start it, just so I can see that all the fans are working, make sure nothing's unplugged or anything like that. And we're just going to hope to get to a post screen because I don't think any of these have hard drives in them. Alright, so I don't see anything too crazy, so we're going to just pray that this doesn't like blow up or anything. Alright, so the computer appears to be on. Nothing is smoking or blowing up yet, so that's a good sign. So I'm actually really surprised. This one actually still has a hard drive in it and still has someone's account on it, which I'm covering just for privacy purposes. So obviously it's password protected. We're not going to worry about it anyways. It's Windows 7. We'll get that off of there, but it looks like we have a working graphics card. We have a working 620 watt Corsair fully modular power supply, along with a couple of other odds and ends that will be really cool for this. So one thing I want to show you guys I think is like super cool on this, and you really don't see these anymore, is it actually has a fan controller where we can actually change the speed of the fans. Now you don't need these because most of the fans that are on the motherboard, as long as they're 4-pin supported, they automatically adjust themselves from the temperature of the motherboard and the ambient temperature and everything. But this is still a really cool thing to have, and the blue looks really cool as well. Alright guys, so next up we have the Dell XPS. So we have power, we have a motherboard LED that just came on. So what's actually really cool about this computer is we actually have an ATI Radeon 5 770. So this is actually still a pretty good card, and this one actually has the i7 in it as well with 8 gigs of DDR3 RAM. So let's go ahead and power it on and see if it works. Here we go. All right, we only had a few ratchet noises on startup. So we have a keyboard failure. That is a critical error. All right, so this is the last computer we're gonna be testing. This one right here is supposed to have an i7, and I just looked up this card. It's an ATI 4650, which is just a half gig card, and really it's more of like a low profile type card. This is the full size version of it, but there's really not too much with this card. It's really just to have split monitors at a workstation. All right, so this one also appears to be working. Of course, we don't have a hard drive, so it's looking for a boot media. So basically, so far we have 3 good working PCs that 2 of them have i7s. They all have graphics cards. Now, I'm kind of stuck between the 2 that I want to use right now, and I think I'll figure that out in just a second. Alright guys, so I'm tired of fighting with the internet trying to find which i7 would be in this HP system because it's giving me a plethora of answers. So I'm going to go ahead and take off the CPU heatsink and we're going to figure out exactly what processor is in it. Alright guys, so this is actually the computer that I have decided to use for the overall build. So we're going to be using this HP case, and this has the i7-860 in it, as well as the white one over there. So basically, really the only difference between this one and the Dell PC is the graphics card, which I don't think we're going to end up using that 5770 just because it is like a lot bigger. It's going to make a lot more noise because the fan was already ramping up just in idle, and it also uses a lot more power than the little GT card does. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to get this 620 watt modular power supply out, and we're going to throw that into the HP. It's going to look a lot better. It's going to make the look a lot cleaner, and of course, it's just a Corsair, so it kind of has to go in there. I hate these cases. They're so compact, it's not even funny. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and get the other power supply out of the old computer here. Alright, so now we're going to get the old graphics card out. So this is the GT 740 SC. So like I said, this card is going to use a lot less power. It's going to be a lot quieter. And really the only downside to it is it only has DVI, and then it has a micro HDMI or mini HDMI. So it's actually a low profile card. So one thing I wish I could actually use out of this PC is it actually has a 4-port USB expansion card in it, but sadly it's an older PCI version and this PC does not have it, so oh well. So this is actually really cool. I don't really have a lot of experience with, I guess it's sound cards, but super cool looking. Just this logo makes it. But of course we don't have this type of expansion on this motherboard, so not going to use it. Alright guys, so I decided we're going to do something really edgy and just use this water cooler that I have lying around that actually supports 1151. So this thing just got like 30 times cooler. Just like me, 30 times cooler. Dude, that is totally radical. Dab of thermal pasta. I'm going to make a slot modification here. So this cooler does not quite fit under this. So this part here we're going to bend up just a little bit, and that should actually kind of hold it in place. And then we should be able to get one of the screws to hold the radiator on over here, and then we might go ahead and drill another one over here real quick. Alright, so the last thing that we actually have to install now is a hard drive. So I just have a 500 gigabyte Western Digital Blue. This is a really dependable drive, and it's pretty quick, 7200 RPM, and it'll just get the job done. So as you guys can see, this PC turned out like 20 times better than I thought it was going to, especially with that custom water loop that's not even supposed to be there, but it adds this really cool stealth mode to it. So as always, like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell down below. And if you guys want to see benchmarks of this PC doing some real life gaming, let me know down below.